It's an
Sure,
FYI.
talk about it.
Okay.
I'm not that familiar with the program.
Okay.
so
I can follow,
talk-
and I'll get back. Yeah. So, all right.
All right, thanks for starting recording, Nathaniel. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the end of August, August 31st. Hard to believe we're not too far away from the solar eclipse. In fact, we've got a countdown timer in a couple of spots on our website now. So in case somebody lose tracks of it, I'll pop those up in a minute. I had an out-of-town friend call me this morning saying that they're driving by our relatively new house here and he wants to stop by about 4:30. So I'm going to try and wrap up my part of the call by 4:30, and Ed can talk about the PR topics and stuff like that if I got to take off. Couple of things real quick, Nathaniel, just a couple of comments for you because I don't need any more email. I know that intro you wrote for the Grape 1 document for George was excellent. I really thought that was outstanding. I think people will feel really good when they read that. It covers a lot of what we're doing and why. So I think that'll go a long way.
Thank you.
Also, the grape recognition page, I saw all your comments and notes. Those make a lot of sense. So when I get back from vacation, I'll be taking care of that and knocking all those points off. That looks pretty good too. So thanks for doing both of those.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me take a quick look at our agenda. I'll just swap things around a little bit. I'd like to talk about some issues or questions we've got about our event, our Solar Eclipse QSO party, since that's the name of our call, and see if we need to make any notes for this SEQP scoring committee to follow up on the next couple of weeks or 2 to 3 weeks from now. And then we'll, like I said, we'll move into the PR topics and whatnot. So let's get right into it. So one of the great things about the eclipse this year, October 14th, it's happening on a Saturday. So a lot of people will be home from work, will be able to get on, do some contesting and operate the SEQP. I don't know if it's unfortunate, but the interesting thing is that's also the weekend of the Pennsylvania QSO party, which is a huge QSO party, one of the bigger ones, along with California, Texas, and a few others. So there'll be a lot of people.
Unfortunately, happens to be the weekend of our Hamfest in New Hampshire.
Yep. So a lot of people will be hamfesting with it. Won't be QSO partying. So the question on the table is, aside from Pennsylvania, I think Nevada, Arizona, and maybe South Dakota, some of the smaller QSO parties are also happening that weekend. And Nathaniel raised a good question. We've got a lot of interest in the SEQP, but the PAQP is a really big once-a-year deal for a lot of people, and they're going to prefer to operate that. So is there any way we can, I don't know if the word is blend or cross over, or make use of the folks entering especially the PA event because it's so large, as part of the Solar Eclipse QSO party. So just throwing that out there. I'm not sure what other thoughts there might be on that subject.
Well, they're not going to do anything different. They're going to call CQ a lot and they're going to get logged a lot by the RBN. I think the only missing piece really is their exact location. And it's quite possible to do post-processing after the contest to get a list of stations that were in the contest. There's always a logs received page or something like that. And that could be automated to go look up where they are on QRZ.com. And that would give us the information we need, a station call and a geolocation, or what am I missing?
Yeah, so I think that I think that's the big thing. I mean, I certainly the last time we did this, I just did a whole bunch of post-processing. I pulled off all of the grid squares that I could from the logs submitted and from the log submitted headers and from the QSO information. I used that as the kind of definitive QTH location. And then I pulled in all of the data from the RBN, and I was able to get something really useful. So I think it's likely we'd be doing the same sort of thing this time. Whoever our postdoc is, they will have to go through, pull all this data down, aggregate it, do lots of post-processing. I guess the thing was, how do people, are there people who want to participate in both? I'm in a unique situation, I think, because I'm running this whole thing and I'm a member of a local ham radio club here, the Murgas Amateur Radio Club, and they are all about, the Pennsylvania QSO party. And they even want to like incentivize people to do the first year sorts of things. And I don't really want to get up there and be like, no, you can't do that. You should do my party instead. And like, I'd rather have a way to say that, okay, there's a way to do both. But maybe the best, I think, there's a couple of options. One is that people who we accept logs from the PAQP and the other QSO parties in addition to SCQP. But I think the problem with that is that the people who are logging for PAQP and SCQP, they're not going to be collecting the grid squares and really meeting the requirements of our particular contest. So why should those be counted as valid QSOs? Because that's not fair to people who are following our rules and, for scoring purposes. I think the people who are committed to doing the SCQP are the ones that should, get the high scores and, be recognized for participating in the SCQP. And I think perhaps the only fair and tractable way that we could really do it is to basically say, okay, it's great that you can participate wherever you want. N1MM will let you run 2 logs at the same time. If you want to participate in both, just run 2 logs at the same time and, we go from there.
Nathaniel, is it possible for them to take their Pennsylvania QSO party logs and then translate them to our format?
Well, as long as they collect the, as long as they get the correct exchange information, but, it's not, you don't really want to do like log washing where you're going back and, that sort of thing.
Then you're asking them to get the other ends grid square?
Exactly. Yeah, the exchange requires a grid square on both sides. So
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get a lot of the PAQP guys because they're competitive, adding this
Right.
mystery number. So I think post-processing
yeah,
is fine. I mean, we're not talking about winning a giant prize or anything like that. But we should make it clear if we decide to accept post-processing that if you don't get the log square, the grid square, it's okay to add it to your log afterwards. Otherwise, there will be a question about it.
Well, let's step back and examine how that process would work. So, I mean, one of the things I'd like to do is approach the leadership of the PAQSO party and tell them what we're talking about. Tell them we'd like to have access to their logs because their logs are all going to be uploaded probably through one of Bruce Horn's robots. So they're going to be in the cloud, same as ours are going to be. If we can ask them to get access, to have our postdoc have access to them, that's kind of step one. You got to have access to the data. Step 2 is associating the grid square with each log entrance. So you'll have the grid square for that transmitting station. And maybe that can then be put together with the RBN stuff to have a valid end-to-end location, time, frequency sort of thing.
Yeah. I think, I think we're getting so close to this. I think we should just say they're 2 independent things. People who are running PAQP, go for it. Run the PAQP. If you're running PAQC CW or on RIDI, the RBN spots are going to spot you. We'll be able to pull in that data. I think the phone logs have only limited scientific value anyway. We're probably, they're going to be so difficult to actually interpret. I don't think we're really going to be able to use them. I think the most value that the logs provide, the phone logs provide, and basically logs that people send in, are really a better confirmation of where people are actually located. Because if we have those logs that people have submitted saying, okay, here are the grid squares that we are actually operating from, here are the grid squares that people are reporting, then we can trust that over a QRZ.com lookup for that particular time period. I think that's the most valuable thing from those logs.
So it's quite possible that Bruce Horn's log robot, if that's what they're using for the PAQP, may require grid square as part of the Cabrillo file header. So if that's the case, we'll have it. We won't have to look it up.
I think if PAQP and the other QSO parties are willing to share their logs with us, I think we will happily take them, but I don't think it's a requirement. And I think if people are asking, how do they participate in both, or if there's a conflict, I think we say, we have an awesome event. We'd really like you to participate in it. If you want to participate in the PAQP or the other QSO parties, go for it too. The whole point of this is to have fun and ham radio, however you want to do it. And then, we'll be able to get enough data from the WhisperNet, from FT8, and from RBN, whether, and the other states, other people participating in the SAQP. And we can also remind them that N1MM is capable of doing 2 contests at the same time, and we have the SCQP module for N1MM.
Yeah, let me add that this is Bill KTE. That I just looked at my last PA QSO party Cabrillo log. It does not contain the grid square, so that information will not be in because the PA QSO party doesn't require it as part of the exchange.
No, that's not what he's talking about. When you use the uploader from Bruce Horn, there is a question, what is your grid square? And so that's where you enter it. And then Bruce adds it as a, what we call an HQ tag, that's in addition to your submitted header. So your log that you keep won't have that information in it, but it will be added to the header as part of the upload process. And it's optional, so it might not be there, but most people just enter it out of inertia.
Yeah, N1MM, you can have 2 different contest logs open, but you only have access to one at a time. You have to go through the file menu, and you can do it very quickly because you just hit Alt F and then hit number 1 or number 2, and there you are on the second log. You go back and forth that way very, very quickly. But the overwhelming majority of people in the PA QSO party, A, don't know how to do it, and or B, won't want to do it.
The other thing to keep in mind is the SEQP starts 4 hours earlier than the PAQP. So there is an opportunity for people to get on for up to 4 hours if they'd like to get warmed up for Pennsylvania.
The N1MM does have a whole page on multi-computer and multi-op contesting, I guess, but what we need is multi-contest contesting. Not
they have a page for that as well. That's in their documentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's there. It's relatively easy to do once you understand how it works. But again, the majority of participants in QSO parties are not contesters, actually. And you're lucky to get them to do an electronic log, much less operate 2 different logs simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, maybe what we can just do is on our website, we're recommending people use N1MM because we have that module in there. Maybe we can also put a direct link to their, under the frequently asked questions page. What if I want to participate in more than 1 contest in the same weekend? Here's a way to how you can do it.
I'll do that, and I'll also contact the leadership from the PAQP and tell them we may want access to their logs and see what comes back. I'm sure they'll be amenable to it, but I'll ask the question beforehand so we can start the discussion.
Yeah.
That
Now,
sounds-
all you guys east of the Mississippi River may not have heard of us out here in the West, but there's also another QSO party going on called the Arizona QSO party.
Right.
And
That same
South
week.
Dakota too, I think.
Yes, in the South Dakota, and there's some other stuff, but the ones that really matter are South Dakota, well, relatively speaking, South Dakota and Arizona QSO parties. Again, the Arizona QSO party doesn't start till 1500 UTC. South Dakota, that's mostly after the event is over 1800 UTC. So things are about done, event solar eclipse wise by then.
So I think we can get some good data out of PA just because the numbers are so large. And I think we'll see how it works and we'll learn something going forward. And that'll keep Nathaniel out of hot water with the guys at Mergus too. So some value to that.
Yeah, I would keep it generic since, as he says, there are most more than one party, QSO party going on.
Right.
Mention
So
it for anyone who happens to be on that day.
yeah, I'll figure that out. I'll update the FAQs in the page. And I know Ed's been working with the league to make sure we've got proper notice in the contest newsletter and that kind of stuff. And I'd be surprised if most people look at the rules in anything more than a few days or the day of the contest. So we'll get that in there and have it ready. So
When you do contact the sponsors, ask them if they would put something on the contest rules page or homepage or something. It's, hey, they're probably going to get called by some people from the Solar Eclipse QSO party. Here's what they need. If you can send it to them, great. You know, just to let everybody know.
And then
I think-
additionally, there's a state QSO party email group that is very
That's a
active.
good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one
That's a good one.
to publicize that type of contest.
Yeah.
We would fit in that very well.
Yeah, and also I've got a contest club list, and actually the timing is good because I'm looking to do another mailing this week. So perfect.
yeah, that's probably, I don't know if that group bill is involved with Dave Medman's WA4, whatever, but I know he's got the
Yes.
annual QSO party thing too going on, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, and
That's the-
Gary, my FRC contact is Bob Byer, KE2D. Yeah, just as a note to file, okay? Because I know we spoke when we were doing the W1AW/2 up here about it. So
For all I know, Bud AA3B maybe the
yeah,
guy
but
that runs the
yeah, obviously
PAQP, so
A3B. Yep, sure.
he also
Yeah.
wins it every year, so but that's okay. for
That's
his-
all
his
right. Yeah.
class. So okay. All right, I think we had a good discussion. We got a plan of action. Is there anything else on the multiple QSO party concepts?
I think that's the best we can do.
Good. Okay, glad it came up. That's good. Thanks for the reminder to bring that up today. Let's see here.
Once upon a time, I asked N6TR, who wrote TR log, how if he could do 2 contests at once, you know, without having to restart the program. And alcohol may have been involved. It was late, and he just kind of looked at me for about a minute, and then he said, "My brain hurts," and he walked away. It was not going to be easy. So
That
anyway,
sounds like one of the contests week the date to me, but who knows?
it was Visalia. Yeah.
Obviously, I got you. Same concept. Okay. All right, good. Let's move on. The other thing is Ward offered to take a quick look at N1MM and check out a couple of things and work with the dev committee or the dev team in case there's anything that needs to be fixed up. So that's in process. So thank you in advance for doing that, Ward. Let's see. I will follow up in the second week of September with Bruce Horn. He said let him know about a month before the QSO party to remind him to make sure he's got our log robot up and working. So I will do that a month before our contest. That's on my list of to-dos. And that's about it. Anything specific to the actual contest, either the SEQP or the GSFC, or we'll move on to a couple other topics. Okay. Let me move over. I guess we'll get into some of our public information stuff. But Ed, do you want me to share Mackenzie's screen? She sent me real
Yeah,
quick,
why
or-
don't you do that first, and then I'll turn it over to Nick, and then back to me. So
Okay.
Mhm.
So Mackenzie Denton GOKO4 GLN is in school, so she can't join us with today. but somewhere, let's see, there should be, Mackenzie spent some time, if I can zoom in on this, working on the folks in South America. And she's got some demographics here on the left-hand side of the page with colors and number of active hams and that sort of thing. I think the more interesting thing is the right-hand page, where the countries she's got in dark blue, those are the national clubs she's contacted, and they have said that they will promote the Solar Eclipse QSO party and whatnot for us in October, especially. One of the things I was thinking about as I looked at this right now, I know our QSO party ends about a couple hours after the Eclipse transit, the annular Eclipse transit South Texas. I suppose those couple of hours will give enough time for the Eclipse to begin transmitting over this part of the world. But I just hope the contest doesn't end before these folks get on the air. I guess is all I'm hoping. But
That is a good question. I
but the
cannot.
contest is already kind of long. It's already 12 hours long, so I don't know that we'd
Yeah.
want to extend it or anything.
Right. What I could at least do is I could tell you fairly soon, I think, when it transits. I'm just checking. All right, I have the movie here. All right, so the eclipse seems to be over in South America at 2055 UT.
Okay.
And we are going to so they are
Yeah, we run until 2200 UTC, so we're going to overlap reasonably well.
that should be just fine then.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, so basically the contest runs an hour after the eclipse is over, even in South America.
Okay. Good. Yeah, it just hit me as okay. So anyhow, she's done a nice job of contacting these folks. They've offered to give us some publicity. They've done some translations in our local languages and whatnot. So we should definitely get some participation from South America. I guess that's the point there. So good for her. And thank you, Mackenzie. I know you'll be watching the YouTube. Thank you for your help. It's looking good.
Do you have those two movies I made of the eclipses?
Yes, I do. I've got them in our standard presentation that people have been given to the various clubs and whatnot.
That's great. Do you want to make them more prominently available on the website?
We could do that. Let's take a quick look at the website. Let's go back there real quick again. Think about where we'd want to do that. Anyhow, here's where we've got our countdown timers on both of our FAQ pages, both here and the Gladstone page. We've got the same timers.
I don't think you're sharing anything, Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. There we go. That should be better. Are you seeing the countdown timer now?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So it is our FAQs page where this thing is sitting. Do you want to do something closer to the home landing page, Nathaniel, you thinking, or what?
Oh, if you go to hamside.org/eclipse, it'd be kind of nice to be like, oh, look, here are the movies of what's happening.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, all I've got is text right here. So, okay. Make a note of that.
I don't think I've uploaded them to YouTube, have I?
No, I don't think we have because I've looked. Yeah.
Okay, I could probably, if I upload them to YouTube, then it should be pretty easy to embed them into different places and share it.
Yep.
Without having to distribute MP4 files and things like that.
Yep.
All right, so I will work on getting that uploaded.
That's a good addition. Also, that we can link that back to the social media as well too.
Yeah, just having it up on YouTube will
Yep.
make it Yes.
Yeah, because that's good evergreen, for the website or for social media.
Yeah.
All right, good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. All right, one other thing before I take off early. I won't be in town next Thursday. Do you guys still want to have the call? If somebody else wants to run it, that's fine. If you want to take a week off, that's fine too. We just probably should decide that before we get off today.
If we took a week off, do you think we'd hurt at all?
Probably not. Ed's going to keep on rolling. Mary Lou's going to keep on smiling. So, and
I would
Bill's
be-
doing a lot of presentations for us, and that's not going to change. So,
I'd be happy to take a week
I
off.
could use.
Because I'm still totally underwater with emails. I'm working as fast as I can, hiding in coffee shops, but I still have to do these ABET things. And so, yeah, I'd be happy to take a week off if that were
And
not
if
gonna hurt.
if we always need something, we could call it, right? So
yeah. Well, that's great then. If you don't mind, Nathaniel, during the call, if you could pull that off next week's Google Calendar and the ham side calendar, that'd be great then.
Yes, sure. I can pull that off of next week.
maybe Mary Lou and I could do a late lunch.
That sounds wonderful.
Ed, I think if the Pope came to New Jersey, Ed, you'd have breakfast.
I'd
with
have
him.
lunch
I really
with
think that.
Sorry,
That's great. Okay.
I mean, why
All
not?
right.
I do have a focus. So
I know you sure do. My guests are here. I'm going to take off early. Please excuse me. And I'll be gone, like I say, for a couple of weeks. But you all have a great couple of weeks. There's lots going on. Ed will tell you and fill you in. We got a tremendous number of presentations we're going to be giving. So we're going to be getting a lot of PR before October 14th. So everyone take care, and I will see you back on 2 weeks from today.
Thanks, Gary. Have a
thanks,
great
Gary. Yeah,
vacation.
great trip. Yep.
Take care. 73 all.
73.
73.
And to make it legitimate, EM48 SS.
That's great.
So
All right.
I guess it's mine, right? So
I guess, yeah, take it
Yeah.
away.
yeah, let me turn it over to Nick, because Nick's had a good week in terms of getting PR and bringing us up to speed on what's going on with AM and SWL. So Nick, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a reasonable week. This morning we finally got something up on SWL Post, which has quite a wide readership and connections with social media, and the web crawlers tend to find it and so forth. So, and the plus side is that Thomas Witherspoon, the guy who runs the site, is very enthusiastic about what HamSci is doing. And, he seems open to, like what I had submitted was something specifically to do with the medium wave listening project. But there may be some other aspects of what HamSci is doing that will be of interest to SWL Post's readership. I will wait. Well, once I hear back from him, I might be picking some brains to put something together for him. We'll find out what happens there. The other sort of point that, although it doesn't have quite as wide a readership and is in Europe, was Medium Wave Circle not only took the blurb that I put together about the Medium Wave project, but also went to the HamSci website and extracted a whole pile of information from the website, and sort of right close to the front of the bulletin, took up 3 pages writing about the Medium Wave project. Now, as I say, this is a European-based club, but it's also a very enthusiastic and technically oriented group. And I'm hoping that might sort of percolate through a bit, hopefully to our South American friends, because I'm not getting, I have several contacts now, which are mostly very, very quiet. And so I'm hoping that having sort of this splashing around in various other places might, cause some interest coming from them when I do some more cold calling in the weeks ahead. And I think that's, the other people I've gotten a hold of have been a couple of bloggers and YouTube people in Canada, but I haven't really gotten much response from them yet. Hopefully that will happen. The final thing, there was an exchange between Nathaniel and Mackenzie last week about the coverage of the eclipse and, who would want to participate in the various HAMSI, sort of activities. And in general, in North America and Northern South America and so forth, describes it quite well. But the Great American Eclipse site has the map that I've been using in the various blurbs that I've been sending out. And I realized that actually, if you can pulse through that map, and it will give you things like the percentages of totality over the map and so forth. So if we come up with questions, because I've had the same thing, I had a guy in Chicago saying, "Well, I don't know, I'm a long way from sort of the maximum of the eclipse. I don't think I'm going to hear anything." And being able to sort of haul out this map and say, actually, from an ionospheric standpoint, this is going to have, quite a pronounced effect in places like Chicago, that, sort of hit them over the head a bit with it. So just in case people aren't aware of this. Anyway, I think that's it for me, Ed. So back to you.
Okay, thanks, Nick. So yeah, obviously lots of irons in the fire. So and hopefully, obviously more PR is good, and that's what we're getting. So that's all good. So just to bring everybody up to speed on a couple of different topical areas. Last week, I was up in Boston for a Ham Expo, and we had two of our ham side scientists, I guess, on our program. Stan Pozerski, KD1LE, was sort of like was the last speaker of the day on Saturday, but we still had about 25 people to talk about HAMSI specifically. And I mean, his reception was really quite good. Stan got back to me yesterday and he said that he's gotten one firm speaking commitment out of it since Sunday, and 3 that he needs to follow up on. But he thinks that he'll get 4 speaking engagements out of it, just as a result of the presentation on Saturday. And there was a lot of response, a lot of right crowd, okay, in terms of looking, at the 25 or so that were there. Phil Erickson, K1PJE, did an earlier presentation on ionospheric science and gave a long play to HAMSI as part of his deck. So, and there was about 65 people in the room. It was earlier in the day, it was around 10:30, if I recall. And it was a really good show as well, too. So I did connect with both the Massachusetts and the Vermont section managers, and I've sent them material on HAMSI, which they've promised to send to their sections, which will be good follow-up for me because I'm doing NSM mailing next week. I did buttonhole Rick Roderick, K5UR, about what Gary had done about a week's previous. If you remember, he did a presentation from the Hudson Division with NP4H, and I sort of pitched it to Rick as a model. Could we use Rick's good offices, and those are the directors to help us spread the word around, and Rick's comment was, he said he had absolutely no problem with it and to use him as a referral. So part of my task next week is to get out to the remainder of the directors, either by phone. He says, call the ones you know and write the ones you don't. And if you need any help with it, he said he'd follow with it. Just to be able to get the word out, if we can help them either to perhaps do a meeting, much like Nomar did, perhaps more no than yes, but you never know. But also, just to help them get the word out with the SMs, which is a separate line of communication, so that we get a little bit greater awareness going forward. So I thought it was a really good conversation with Rick, and he was very, very supportive. And he had sat in on the ARL PR committee meeting about a month or so back. So he was not unfamiliar with what we were doing, and obviously with the ARL as a partner, that was a really, I think, really good mention overall. So speaking of the ARL, in terms of things that are going on, I spoke with John Ross yesterday, who puts out the ARL news, the weekly news report. He is promising us coverage the last 2 weeks prior to the October event. He has that booked in. just, in terms of reminders and links and everything else in terms of stories. I guess, Gary and I were a little, we had a little like an emergency meeting yesterday because we did not see a link on contest news yesterday, and I thought we were going to see one. But I followed with Newington this morning, and they sort of reminded me that the contest column that comes out is on a 2-week basis, and they do have us scheduled for the weeks coming up to the Eclipse. And actually, they're planning to do a little bit more PR for us, as a result of it. So, so I think all well and good in terms of what we're doing there, being on the contest calendar, and obviously getting a story in terms of ARL news. Gary was featured this month, and coming up in the October issue, his story. We're also going to be on the air. CQ has a blurb running on us in the September issue, which should be out digitally tomorrow. And obviously Ron, KF7ZN, thank you, Ron, is working on a story for Spectrum Monitor for the October issue, and we've gotten a blurb, in the latest issue of Spectrum Monitor. So there's a lot of stuff that's sort of all in one place, I guess, as we obviously hit October. In terms of presentations, last Sunday, there was a presentation at the Addison County Club in Vermont. Not necessarily the largest club, but they're sort of on the path of totality for the April event, and they were very, very interested in finding out more about the QSO party. Bill, KATE, thank you very much. In fact, I'll give you a couple of seconds if you want to talk about NASA and September 7th. I guess over to you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Ed.
I was just gonna ask before you turn it over, Ed. I know you've sent me a number of emails. Do I owe you anything, or do we need to discuss anything?
No, I think you're up to date right now. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing better than I am, Nathaniel. Email. In fact, I just wrote a note to a friend who's doing a cancer ride next month. Said, hey, I need to get a job again, so I've got an excuse to say no. I can't.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I'm happy to do it, Ed. I'm going to give a presentation to the Amateur Radio Club at the Marshall Space Center on the 7th of September, and there may be others with whom they're associated that will be invited to that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm ready.
Yep.
I gave this coming Saturday morning, I'll have you can't see, there it is. There's my little transmitter from Sweden, Whisper transmitter. I'll be talking about that and Hamsci and the solar eclipse at the Alamogordo Ham Fest in New Mexico, the state of New Mexico, very close to the Mexican and Texas borders in southern New Mexico. So looking forward to that. One of 3 presentations, be a busy day, but I get to see a lot of people. That's what I do as section manager. Yeah,
there you go. So, and obviously you'll get a note from me regarding being a section manager to help out Hamsci. So you'll get to see both sides of it. So yeah, and obviously Bill has done a great job in terms of volunteering. It's a doubleheader on September 7th. I'll be doing the Radio Association of Western New York, which is a group out of Buffalo. Their interest is very much like the Addison counties, is that they're paying more attention to April, and then suddenly October's right in front of them. They wanted to know a little bit more about it, so it's just really a good play. So so the 7th we've got at least 2 presentations going that day. On 9/11, yesterday I took a presentation with the Houston Echo Club. Apparently it's a fairly big club in the Houston area. Gary got the request forwarded on to me, and I said yes this morning. So that'll be on October 11th. Gary from Kentucky is doing the Richmond, Kentucky Club on September 16th. So there's a lot of presentations in play just in the next couple of weeks, and it seems like it's just like over the transom now. People are starting to ask us for it. So thanks to everybody for volunteering on that. Just in terms of some general publicity, Nick told you a little bit about what's going on regarding the SWL and the AM piece. Nathaniel, I think you did a piece with DX Engineering, right? In terms of that they were doing a blurb on you as well too. So and obviously their newsletter reach is pretty good. So
I put a lot of time into that one.
Yeah. So yeah, and also Nathaniel, we're working as I think we've referred a couple of times. We're working with an agency that works with the University of Scranton Halstead, and they're doing a general interest piece just sort of a pitch to general media. And Nathaniel did a really good edit on that. I added a paragraph to the whole piece, but hopefully that'll get some play. With Bob, who's done good work, okay, in terms of trying to ramp himself up pretty quickly in terms of what's going on here. So all good. I don't know if you want to add anything there, Nathaniel, on either one of those two. So
No, I think that sounds good.
yep. So the only other pieces on publicity, we got a blurb this week on the ICQ podcast in the UK. Much like Nick mentioned in terms of the medium wave stuff that ran in Europe, the ICQ is primarily started as a European podcast, but has a good deal of American listeners, and half the talent now on that podcast are American hams. In terms of making contributions. So it's pretty widely read. It's not as big as some of the others, but nevertheless, it does have a pretty wide audience, and it was good to see that we got a blurb on that unsolicited. In terms of the pickup. So, and then the other thing is I did a post yesterday. I don't know. Have any of you heard of something called hamcommunity.com? They do the ham census. Okay. This is sort of on, it sort of runs in the background, and then you sort of fill out the census form. But I got pitched if we would add a blurb onto their site, which, hopefully is a little bit more than just adding traffic to it. But they do the ham census, and they pitch you filling out the census form at the same time. So I don't know where it's going to go, but I thought this is pretty good. At least it's getting a little bit viral, that people are asking us now if we can, contribute content to some of the things that they're doing. And so that's all well and good. So again, Ron is working, KF7ZN is working on the Spectrum Monitor story for October. He'll also become famous, I think, probably in the next 24 hours, because the coffee talk that he did with my club here in New Jersey is ready for production, and we sent it over to Mackenzie, and I think Rachi's going to post it tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So if you get lots of calls and requests for autographs, it's because of your video. Okay, it's part 1 of 2. And it runs about 40 minutes, but we're looking to see how much traffic it takes. So it's all good. So other than that, just in terms, we mentioned social media with Mackenzie's work. Just next week for me, I mean, it's the week coming out of Labor Day. So, I've got a couple of items in terms of getting things out. Is first to follow, with the directors, to follow on K5UR's sort of request to say it's okay to do that. So I'm going to do that and see what types of response we're going to get. I've got an SM section manager mailing reminder that goes out to sort of, if asking for a presentation, but also to remind your clubs of members. I also have a mailing that goes out on Thursday morning to the PIO ARO Reflector. We have our meeting on Wednesday night, and that blurb, which has already been approved by the league, goes out on Thursday morning. And then, and then I guess just the other piece is just obviously we're still working on podcasts. We've got the one in the book. We do need to confirm the date. That is an open item, Nathaniel, with Rhea and 2RJ. But I'm looking to see if we can get 1 or 2 more just in this short window right now, and then we'll take a look at your schedule and book them that way. So because Rhea's pretty flexible. So great. But that's all I have here. So Nathaniel, back over to you. Unless there are any questions.
I just posted the first video on YouTube, and the link is in the chat now. And I'm just about to post the second video on YouTube, which should be it's uploading now. And I think these are short videos. So I have both Eclipse paths on YouTube now.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over to you.
All right. I don't know. Are there any other open items? I do have a very good announcement. NASA has officially awarded the grant to Scranton today. So this whole process of grants is very long and protracted, as you have seen, because a year ago almost, we submitted the grant application. And then maybe 6 months ago, we heard that yes, it was in fact selected. And only today have we gotten the official letter saying, yes, the award, you can actually start spending money.
That's great.
So, yeah,
Money
so
is good.
so I can't actually start spending it yet because the university still has to set up an account number and a fund number for me, but they're now allowed to do so. So that should happen within a week or so. But then they need to issue a sub award to NJIT, and that process will probably take another month to 2 months to get that done. And once that happens, then NJIT can actually go hire a postdoc. So
Yeah.
it's a process.
There
But,
you go. Yeah.
but it has officially been awarded now. It's actually in the system. Yeah, I think that's it for here.
Yeah. Just Bill, Ron, and Nick, thanks for all your help. So
Yeah.
it's really, it's really quite amazing the work we're doing. So
Yeah, by the way, I got an email from Kim at NOAA. I have a
yes,
call with her tomorrow
great,
to discuss the logistics of the balloon fiesta thing here in Albuquerque.
great. Yeah. Yeah. And we did have a follow for Dallas, and we'll know in a couple of weeks how that's going to come together in terms of how that gets supported. So, and thanks again, Bill, for support, for volunteering there too. So all good.
I think that's really good. Some non-SCQP or sort of non-SCQP news. The Jeff DiPolo, our antenna contractor, WN3A, he said he's going to start building our ham radio station here at Scranton on the week of September 6th, September 7th. And so there's actually a chance we will have a real station here at Scranton in time for the SCQP. And I am trying to continue to incentivize students to participate in ham radio, not only through the SCQP, but we have a local nuclear power plant emergency communications and emergency drill happening in middle of September. So I was able to get a number of students to go to a training last night at the Emergency Operations Center. And I'm using that to try to motivate them to get their ham license next week and participate in that. And then we'll go from there. So I think that's it. Well, if that's it, I think we'll close the main part. I see Jonathan Rizzo is on here. So Jonathan, maybe you want to stay on for a minute after. If anyone else wants to stay on for a minute after too, I can make a breakout room so I can talk to Jonathan and other people can.
Sure.
Okay, sounds great. So thank you. And so our next SCQP meeting will not be next week, but the week thereafter. So 7:30.
73s.